Well, good morning, party people. Good morning. At least it feels like morning for me because I just woke up from a long nap too. A lot. So in the last two videos on this topic, I looked at the website objectively to the best of my ability. Some people have been like, you are still biased. I mean, I tried not to be, but let's be real. You can only go through so many pages that before your opinions start to show. And I admit there's a little bit of bias there. For those who said I wasn't entirely unbiased, sure, fair point. Then we looked at all of the allegations regarding the actual founders of the free-for-all event in a Woo Association. And some people were like, well, those are all allegedly. Sure, okay. If you don't want to believe those, that I get it. You are more than welcome to make your own opinions and use your brain to decide what you think is real and what you want to believe. That's understandable. I get it. I'm not your mom. I can't tell you what to think, nor would I ever wish to. The thing we didn't talk about in some of those videos are the planned attendees of that con. And before we dive into everything, I think it's fair that I say as a disclaimer that I fully acknowledge what some people are saying, that yes, every con has its bad eggs, bad people that aren't representative of the group. Fine, fair. However, I haven't really seen in the past those bad eggs or those bad actors be so aggressively vocal and so aggressively standoffish and in many chances threatening towards other people, to the degree that I am seeing potential attendees of this con who are currently populated in an unofficial Telegram chat that is not run by, moderated by, organized by, etc., the actual staff of a Woo Association or free-for-all. I fully acknowledge that the actual staff does not run that chat, does not moderate that chat. It is not their official chat. Sure. But I think we need to look through some of those messages and see what to me stands out as a very big critical difference between some of the bad actors of potential bad actors of this con, if it even happens at this point, and what we've seen in the past. So we're gonna get into that. Today's video, in some lighter news, is sponsored by me, actually. It's sponsored by me. I have a new track out. It is available on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. You can even make TikToks with it. And some album art right here. There'll be a link in the description to the track on Spotify, because that's the most common one used, but please be aware if you search it up at any of the other stores, you should be able to find it. Playing it on Spotify, whether you have a paid or free account, does give me an itty-bitty bit of kickback, so I appreciate you guys checking it out, and I'd love to hear feedback on it at some point. That'd be great. It's the first quote-unquote professionally produced piece I've done that's not to be disrespectful to other producers I've worked with. This is the first time I've actually worked with someone whose credentials include artists that I know outside of the furry fandom, and I did save up a fair chunk of money to get this done. I spent the last year working on this with the producer. It's something I'm really proud of. I hope you like it. That being said, if you wish to use it in a TikTok, I would love to see what you do with it. If you do make a TikTok using Insecurity, my new track, send it to me, either at ragehound@gmail or tweet it at me. I'd love to see it. I'd love to know what you think. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about these attendees now that we've had that brief reprieve. So on Twitter, I said to primarily ignore the shit show of the con. Let it happen, whatever. Let them have their con. Let's see how long before it implodes. Let's see how long before it goes to shit, before someone does something offensive enough to get them arrested. You know what? They have every right to attempt the con. Let them fucking do it. I don't care. I don't live in Tulsa. It doesn't affect me at all. Whatever. So that is all technically correct. However, I did start seeing on Twitter some red flags, and I'm gonna quote BoJack Horseman here for some of the people still blindly supporting this con. When you are wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags do just look like flags. But I'm not wearing rose-colored glasses, and a lot of us who are, I would say, maybe more liberal-minded and looking at this con very critically, aren't wearing rose-colored glasses either. Like I stated previously, I fully acknowledge that these are not statements being made by con staff. Sure, there are Discord messages from con staff that have basically gone to the tune of don't raise a ruckus, don't say anything publicly, just try to keep the PR image as clean as possible. And as much as people want to attack them for that, having worked in PR, I get it. I get the methodology there. I can't knock them for it. It's something I would have advised them to do had I worked for them. I do not. I don't, I will never, no. But I think we need to take a look at some of the messages. So I have cleaned them up to the best of my ability, where slurs, violent language, and anything else slurs, violent language, and anything else that would upset viewers too much has been censored to the best of my ability. If I missed something, I'm really sorry. So trigger warning, just in case one of my Photoshop jobs was not great. When I say Photoshop jobs, all I have done to these photos is just either blur, obscure, or censor incredibly insensitive words that might be upsetting to some viewers. You can search these up on Twitter if you want to see them uncensored. Literally just look up a woo association. You'll find it. It's not hard. It takes maybe a minute. So in the screenshots, there are two names that are going to come up the most that you will see commonly. And I'm not blurring them. I'm not. I could, but I'm not going to. They're not people's real names to my understanding. And I do think it's two people in this little group that you guys should be aware of and not interact with. I just don't feel it's safe. One is Clyde Cash, one is Caney Lupine. Of the two, Caney is like a little bit on the safer side because it does seem for the most part that their views are just offensive but not threatening. The other person is someone that I've kept an eye on that I'm like, that is really concerning. So let's take a look. So the first of these that I found that caught my attention was this one. This one specifically, because if you go right to the bottom, I'm actually called out for my video. Which, like, you know what? If you don't like my video, I don't really care. That's fine. You're welcome to hate my shit, me, anything else. What caught my eye, though, is the first thing I have seen from this group of, like, unofficial attendees is the Teasler. Not that it makes any difference, but I'm assigned female at birth. I'm cis female. I was born a woman, still identify as a woman. It's been no change in my 32 years of life. I'm a woman. However, that gave me a first taste of what to expect from a lot of these screenshots provided from people who were able to be in the chat for like a hot second before they got booted and not starting off strong. I mean, if we set aside some of the transphobia, which sounds fucking terrible to say. It sounds horrible. If we set aside the transphobia for a second, there's some parts of these chats that are genuinely really terrifying. A couple that stand out are the ones where the N slur is used. It's a racist slur. I don't think I have to explain what that is. A racist act involving the letter L that our history has a really dark past with and has caused a lot of harm to American citizens. There's multiple messages where this one individual, Clyde, who is a zebra icon thing, has suggested harming people of color using the slur and using the L word. That is a violent act commonly used in the past against people of color. That's really concerning. That's really, really concerning. Some people also dug into groups that some of these guys were also in, and here's a few of them. It's scary. It is. Because, like I said, if you put the transgenderism aside, some of the views that they are pumping out to these unofficial attendees is not only really, really bad for this con, as a con that is trying to be apolitical, but it's also really concerning because a lot of these views could be considered threats of violence, which is ironic considering they list like Antifa as someone committing violent attacks. Meanwhile, they're threatening to actually harm people who just have either questions about the con or who aren't even in the chat. There's one instance of them going into a chat that has nothing to do with the con. It was a work in progress for some creators and just flooding it with threats and slurs and the like. And I understand some people will be like, oh, it's just a few bad actors. But seeing that there's been no condemnation from the con itself of the actions of these unofficial accounts is a little concerning, because I can understand if you want to be an apolitical con. I can understand if you want to keep holding your super transphobic views or your racist views in private. You don't really want to get involved in no politics. I don't agree with it, but fine. But at the point where you're turning a blind eye to someone actually making threats against people, using very charged racial language, and even threatening people who have considered maybe just attending the con to see what it's like, see here, I don't really think you can stay silent anymore, and you should probably say something, even if it's to the extent of, while we believe in free speech, which, by the way, free for all, you take this if you want it. It's on the house. While we believe in free speech, and while this event will be apolitical, we will not tolerate threats of violence against members of the community. There you go. It's free for you. If you want to use it, all yours. It's on the house. I don't know. Like, I wanted to see how this con went because it looked like a bit of a shit show. That would just be fun to watch and eat popcorn. Like, see how bad it is. Let them have it. Make bingo cards at home. All fun and games, right? Seeing just how bold some of these people are is terrifying, and I don't feel confident that this con's gonna be able to run if they don't put a big foot down on some of these people running their mouths and making threats against other people in the community. I also don't think Marriott's gonna be thrilled to hear that some of the people who've been outspoken about wanting to attend this con and plan to go to their hotel are okay with threatening violence against others. I don't see the hotel being thrilled with that idea. Ignoring the fact, all the allegations against the charity associated, ignoring all of the alleged behavior of the guest of honor and con organizers, because as people have said, sure, plenty of other cons have that situation, fine. There have been con chairs that have done bad before, there have been guest of honors that have done bad before. That's not unique to this con, fine. It is pretty rare to see threats of violence on its own not being taken seriously by cons, and I think that being silent about this is going to hurt them in the long run, and we might not see this event ever happen. So, Peace Wolf, Foxglove, any of you who actually run this con, I get it. You want to stay political. To be honest, I actually want to see what happens with this con. I was excited to see how it goes. Like, if you guys are actually able to make this like a good representation of the fandom and be apolitical, I was genuinely morbidly curious to see if that could happen. But if I'm being honest, I don't think you can until this shit is addressed. If you want to turn a blind eye to Kaney being transphobic as fuck, you could probably get away with that. It's not a good look, but your constituents probably won't really give a shit. But where the hotel and surrounding area might not be so thrilled is letting people who are making threats of violence against members of the community. That's probably not going to sit well with the hotel, local establishments, or otherwise, especially if enough people in this community start speaking up about it. Because look, they called me the Teasler. As much as that doesn't really affect me because I'm not trans, and I would rather that be directed at me than to one of my trans friends who it would be actually very offensive to. There's some shit in that unofficial chat that is really, really concerning, and if you haven't said anything yet about it, you really should. So I think that concludes our deep dive on all three aspects of this con: its site, its founders, its potential attendees. If you're still looking forward to attending this con, like, be careful is all I can say, just given kind of the lackadaisical approach to handling very offensive shit said by potential attendees. Just be careful is all I can say. I'm not going. I had considered for a little bit going just to see what it was going to be like, just out of morbid curiosity. I'm not going. I'm also not a fit for this con. I'm probably too much of a drama llama liberal to be really welcomed there, but that kind of sealed the deal, which I know was their intent. I know the intent of these people in the chats was to scare off the quote-unquote liberals, but I think it's at a cost of potentially causing the con to implode on itself before it even starts and potentially burn a bridge with the Marriott. So that's all I have to say on it. I hope people who are unaware of this are now aware of why some of us are a little more concerned, and like I said, make your own decisions, think for yourself, but if you decide to go to this, if it even happens, please stay safe, be careful, and if you don't feel safe because of the actions of some of the attendees and you are not getting help from the staff at all, for whatever reason, go find a safe place outside of the hotel, whether that be a friend's house, if you have to go to like a police station because you're feeling threatened or like your life may be in danger, just go do that. Find a safe place. Find a safe place if you do decide to attend this con and the con space does not feel safe. Or talk to the actual hotel staff and find out if you can have it worked out if con staff isn't doing their job properly. That's all I can say. The last thing I want is any of you guys getting hurt, harmed, or otherwise. Yeah, that's all I got. That's it. Doodles.